his bill.
Thank you to the Republican leader for yielding. I was proud to introduce three bipartisan bills today. The Modern Labeling Act will modify how certain generic drug labels are updated. The Safeguarding Therapeutics Act will protect American consumers from counterfeit medical devices. Like my friend Dr. Burgess, I was floored when I was at JFK Airport and realized that we just return counterfeit devices by law. We can't destroy them, so we'll hopefully fix that this session. And then the Continuous Manufacturing Bill will expand our work on 21st century cures to increase research and development on continuous manufacturing. I'd like to thank Representative Matsui, Representative Engel, and Chairman Plone for working with me on these bills, and I yield back. Thank you very much. A couple of these bills are so common sense that it's hard. The questions have already been asked, it seems, moving forward. But when I was at the JFK coming forward, I wish people could sit there and see that, because you see counterfeit drugs, you see them standing sitting in front of you, and people are, if they're going outside the normal distribution chains, and a lot of times people are doing it because of access to affordable prescription drugs, and hopefully we as a Congress can get back to focusing on that and get a bill the president can sign. But in the meantime, it's just not safe. If you're going to go on websites and try to, and you get we got an investigation beginning on counterfeit tickets to events. If you buy a counterfeit ticket, you have a bad night. If you buy a counterfeit drug, can ruin your life. And so it's important. And I just want people to understand. And I was standing there and watched somebody. If it was a drug, they could destroy it. But if the drug was packaged with a syringe, so therefore a medical device, they couldn't. And so, Mr. Kaiser, can you explain under current law what happens when counterfeit products are discovered? What's an example of a combination product which cannot be destroyed, and why H.R. 663 would improve the ability of federal government to stop the supply of counterfeit?
So, first question was.
The first question is, under current law, what happens when a counterfeit
current
product?
law for medical devices, combination products, those are typically shipped back to whoever sent it. So thus, it typically remains in the supply chain, and many times it comes back through. So that represents a significant risk.
Yeah. So, but why isn't it destroyed?
Because it doesn't fall under the current law, right? So what you're asking for in the new law would allow us to destroy medical devices and combination products under $2,500.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted you to bring that out. And then, so what's an example of a combination product? I mean, I saw a syringe with a vial of I guess it was insulin.
Yeah, that's an example.
And they couldn't, if it was just insulin, they could have destroyed it because it was packaged with they couldn't, by law, which is what we need.
That's a great example. Another one might be coronary stents, drug-eluting coronary stents. You know, stent creates this scaffolding to keep an artery open. If it's coated with a drug elution, a drug that would emit to help with cell proliferation. So I think those are a couple good examples of combination therapies.
Well, I had one of our FDA agent say at JFK that they literally packaged, opened it, discovered it. They had to ship it back because they couldn't destroy it. They can store it, but then they ship it back, and it comes back to JFK exactly as they wrapped it up and sent it back. So if some people are actually ordering these, the people who even they're sending them to, not even, who knows that they even put, I mean, somebody could have changed the whole product inside and sent it back to, this is how bad these people are who are trying to put this stuff through. And while we have to fix this, and it should be absolutely against the law to move forward. On the labeling, I think we've discussed a lot of the reason for that. When I first started looking, I thought it was the label on the container, but that's not what we're talking about. Can you explain what labeling actually is? Because I think all of us think, matter of fact, it's something we need to fix. If you get over the counter, it seems like we have so much stuff required. I can't even find, do I take one or two? Is it every 6 or 12 hours? Because you got to keep peeling things back to be able to safely take out over counter. We have too much. But your labeling is different you're talking about. Could you just explain that?
It generally refers to the entire package of information that is submitted and associated with the drug that often evolves over time. It includes things like the package insert that you've mentioned here, and I think that's a good point with the bill that you've introduced here. Will allow some of these older drugs to actually conform to a new format of labeling that the FDA put forth in 2006. Some of these drugs don't even conform to that at this point, and they can't be changed. Right. You know, but by doing so, the intention there was to allow the drug label to be more accessible and more usable for the consumers. So
currently, if it's not updated label like it could be, what's happening to the patients currently? How are physicians, Are they not able to use it in a prescribed way that they think could be the?
In many instances, particularly in oncology, there is the accessibility to expert-developed guidelines. Things like the National Comprehensive Cancer Network has regularly updated guidelines, but those are typically accessible to expert oncologists, perhaps in an academic setting. So still the most accessible source of information would be to look up the drug label around things like different doses, and those doses can change over time depending on the context of use.
So if oncologists may not have access to the best information for a specific drug for a specific patient.
Not on these outdated labels. They would have to look elsewhere than the label in order to access it.